y'all. It's week 7. We're going to spend the next 2 weeks right up to spring break talking about brainstorming, inventing, and ideating. In next week's video, I'm going to share specific strategies. In this week's video, though, I want to continue talking about MSU's entrepreneurial ecosystem and specifically about 2 exciting projects happening at MSU right now and some of the resources and spaces available to support your work. And in this video, I'll also introduce our week 7 materials. In our week 4 overview video, I talked about MSU's development of an entrepreneurial culture. I want to update you on our entrepreneurial culture and suggest how you can get further involved. The Provost and Neil Kane, the Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, hosted an entrepreneurship roundup last spring. That's the meeting I mentioned during week 4, where Provost Yua acknowledged the hard work that people had done in developing an initiative, creating a strategic vision, hiring Neil Kane, and launching the minor. She also said we have a lot more work to do, which makes this a particularly exciting time to be at MSU. There were 2 presenters at last spring's roundup. Lori Thorpe, director of the RISE program on campus, that's the residential initiative on the study of the environment, reported on the Bailey Tea Project. Students grow herbs and make tea. Right now it's sold at the Kellogg Hotel, the Conference Center, and all around campus, and you can buy the tea online. Last year, they developed a business model for and moved forward with land grant goods. One of the students involved, who was interviewed in an MSU Today story about Bailey Tea, mentioned that they have students in packaging, animal science, education, communication, journalism, all sorts of different majors. But in the long run, they all come back to the environmental sustainability side of things.
Goods is a student-run business that sells value-added agriculture products that are grown and produced by students on Michigan State's campus.
Being an entrepreneur to me is really special because it's kind of a track where I am making my own impact, and things that I believe in and things that I value are things that are instilled into land grant goods. So when I talk about creating the next generation of food activists, I'm doing that through my entrepreneurism. I really value that.
Another faculty member, Robert Montgomery, runs a lab at MSU called ReCap, which conducts research on the ecology of carnivores and their prey. And he talked about the Snares to Wares initiative. He presented on his research in East Africa, where people use wire snares to trap animals for food, but unfortunately a snare doesn't know the difference between an antelope and a lion or elephant. And a lot of animals, including protected or endangered animals, get maimed or killed by snares.
I'm Robert Montgomery from the College of Agricultural and Natural Resources at Michigan State University.
My name is Tuchilo Mudumba. I'm a graduate student in the ReCap lab.
We're looking for a 3-legged lion called Butcherman. Won't you join us?
Butcherman was part of a coalition of 2 males in the Delta Pride in Murchison Falls National Park. He was a confident male who ruled for less than a year when he was caught in a wire snare. I was part of the team who helped amputate part of his back left leg, and we all thought that would end his reign. But against all the odds, Butcherman continued to rule his pride despite having only 3 legs. He had a will to go on that no one had ever seen, fathering many calves and staying as a dominant male for 3 years.
And this is an example of a snare here?
Yeah, this is a wire snare. You'll see on one end it has got a loop in which the other half must have broken off an animal.
Right.
So this is a used tire wire. So it was part of a tire.
So this is part of a tire on a vehicle.
Right.
That has been taken and used for snaring, and this has been broken off, so we can assume that an animal was caught in this snare and was able to get free.
Yeah, most definitely, because this has been fastened hard enough, so this was pulled tight on one end and broken off.
This is how the 3-legged lion Butcherman lost his lower left hind leg. You can imagine the type of damage that would do to an animal when it's pulled tight, constricted around their leg over time. The amazing thing about these particular snares is that while it might look like disused material, this has value. Tuchilo has been leading a program called the Snares to Wares initiative, which takes these snares from the landscape, which can do so much harm for the wildlife, brings them to a village on the periphery of the park, which is called Pakwach, and provides them to a group of boys who were formerly poachers who are able to convert these into goods for sale in the market. It's a fantastic story of community-based conservation.
We are going to take this very piece of wire, hand it over to the Lost Boys group that are involved in the craft business, and you see by yourselves how this will be turned into a very beautiful piece of art.
He showed some beautiful final products of artwork made from the snares. You can see an early prototype here. They're primarily working to create statues of lions, elephants, and other animals using the old wire snares collected from around the villages. There are some really exciting entrepreneurial projects being launched and moved into the world at MSU right now, and these are just two of them. I want to toggle over to talk about some of the resources available to you here at MSU. I've mentioned on the class syllabus and in some of these overview videos, the eShip website. This is our portal for all things entrepreneurship. And you can also sign up for the eShip email newsletter on the site. My favorite feature on the eShip website is the calendar feature. I've been pulling events from there and posting them as announcements on our class D2L. From 1-hour quick workshops to the entrepreneurial info table to startups, there are entrepreneurial activities happening every day on and around campus. Just one example is Innovate State, hosted by Spartan Innovations and always posted on the eShip calendar. This is a great opportunity to connect with MSU alums and entrepreneurs. Some past speakers have included Max Schmidt from 1701 Bespoke in Detroit, Ben Bader, who launched Text from last night, Justin Kershaw, a former MSU football player who's launched a range of entrepreneurial and social enterprise activities, and Ryan Devlin, the founder of This Bar Saves Lives. Pitch competitions are a huge part of an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And if you head to the eShip website, select resources, and head to competitions, you'll find a huge curated list of opportunities to participate in startup competitions. Networking is critical for any entrepreneur, well, any human in today's world. And one way to network is through MSU's Startup Tree. You can get to it from the eShip website or directly at the URL here. When you create a profile, you can track projects, engage in networking, and request mentors. Connecting to the MSU eShip Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is another great way to stay on top of what's happening and to make connections. Two other great places to connect are registered student organizations. The first is the MSU Entrepreneurship Association, and the second is Women in Entrepreneurship, co-founded by Zoe Zapatel, who created the Nectar app and now works in the Bay Area for Zynga, the company that makes Words with Friends. And Zoe was just here and spoke at an Innovative State event about 2 weeks ago. So what's next for MSU's entrepreneurial ecosystem? Last spring, I asked students in this class to think about what we don't yet have but maybe need in our entrepreneurship incubator. Holly Bulla suggested the development of an engagement center for entrepreneurship. Katie Buchner, Lauren Davis, Catherine Kuzmiak, Josh Radom, and Seth Thompson all suggested that we better implement entrepreneurship across all majors with an entree or intrapreneurship class for every major. Shiraz Christie suggested that entrepreneurship groups form in each college, and Yahya Talab recommended establishing entrepreneurship clubs in every neighborhood on campus. Gabby Casanelli, Juliet DeGain, Eric Amara, Bree Minbo, and Henry Shea recommended an entrepreneurship mentoring program. Azuzana Rodriguez suggested that MSU implement a creativity concentration within the entrepreneurship and innovation minor in line with a social innovation concentration. Christopher Pridnia recommended developing and offering a class that focuses on the hard realities of being an entrepreneur, like finding, hiring, and firing employees. Andrew Sophis suggested a collaborative competition event where different everyday products like a toothbrush were rethought and innovated by students. And you'll read a handful of good cases of innovating everyday things we often overlook in this week's readings. I hope that you all will, for this week's Packback participation, consider posing a question related to what we don't yet have, but maybe you should consider developing or building here at MSU. As for places and spaces available to all of us, I want to highlight just a few. First, north of campus, right across Grand River, is Spartan Innovations, which is home to the Hatch and is also an amazing place to get hands-on support for your startup.
The Hatch is a space for students to really explore their ideas. So they come in, they might not have their own idea. Maybe they want to join a team. Maybe they're just thinking about being an entrepreneur. There may be events, there may be things going on that they're getting involved with, but it's different than the traditional classroom. It's an incubator space.
There's an expression that I use frequently that you can't learn to swim at the library and you can't learn to be an entrepreneur sitting in a lecture hall. You have to do it. And so the opportunity to create programs that give students the chance to go out and try something, even if they fail as a student, will still serve them well in their post-college careers.
When the students come into us, we put them through a three-stage process: discovery, validation, and launch. In that discovery phase, they're really working with the business model canvas. They're going out doing customer discovery, finding out if people want to use their idea, their app, their website, whatever they're doing, and then trying to explore other companies, competitors that are out there. And then in the validation phase, we actually give them resources. So we have those 24 interns that work with us that give them anything from graphic design, web design, CAD work, legal work, everything they need to really push their idea out to market. Then when we do that, we put them into the launch phase, which could be their app is launching, their business is launching, or this could fail. If it fails, maybe they have to pivot, change something else, or go on to the next idea.
Across Grand River on campus, you can find the Hub in Wells Hall. This is a relatively new facility and an amazing one. If you want to stop by for a quick tour and see what a state-of-the-art brainstorming and innovating studio looks like, stop by. The space is great for brainstorming sessions for big groups and smaller groups, and there's Carl Good in the middle, and for presentations. The Hub also has some of the Snares to Ware's artwork on display if you want to see these amazing pieces. Also on campus, the main library has a new Makerspace on the second floor west side. There are tons of tools there, including 3D printers, laser and vinyl cutters, and more. They even have a button maker. And you can check out technology you might need. For instance, a DSLR camera to shoot and edit a video like the Tempo Run video we watched for class. Also in the main library is a new digital scholarship lab. There are a handful of great meeting spaces and rooms which you can reserve online for individual or group work. We have a virtual reality lab and an immersive 360 experience lab. And of course, Creativity Quest 2 is all about us identifying other spaces and places on campus, in East Lansing and in Lansing, where creativity can be inspired, seen, engaged in, or stifled. We have 2 readings for week 7. The first reading is a chapter from a book called Agile Innovation. In the chapter, the authors situate innovation and talk about the ways in which innovative ideas emerge through brainstorming, prototyping, creating, ideating. One of the ideas expressed has to do with simplicity, which the authors argue is a great virtue in innovation. Austin Kleon, the author of the other reading we're going to do this week, argues that creativity is subtraction. What's also offered in this first reading are a handful of good approaches for brainstorming, which we're going to talk more about next week. So the second reading is from Austin Kleon's book, Steal Like an Artist. From Kleon's perspective, you don't need to be a genius. You just need to be yourself and seek out the creativity that's around you always and already. Many of you in your Creativity Quest 1 work offer Disney as an example of the importance of creativity in and with entrepreneurship. So our first case for this week focuses on Disney's brainstorming techniques. The second creativity case is a short TED Talk by Shinpei Takahashi, where he shares a word game that he uses to brainstorm and invent. Our third creativity case for week 7 is a video by and about Professor Carl Good, who I mentioned earlier in class. The video showcases an activity that Carl does in one of the classes that he teaches, and the activity has to do with brainstorming by combining spaces and concepts and engaging in divergent thinking. And there's one spark for week 7. Explore MSU's Student Marketplace, a site where MSU launched goods are available and where you can read more and see more about MSU entrepreneurs. Again, we'll be reading and talking more about brainstorming, inventing, and ideating next week too, and really refining our approaches. This week, explore the week 7 readings, cases, and sparks. Keep working on Creativity Quest 2, which is due right before spring break. And if you're planning to revise Creativity Quest 1, your revised work is due this Saturday, February 23rd by noon.